Hello, it's stage 11, another routine day on the tour, which is to say routinely making history. Today's milestone is number of consecutive stages in the yellow jersey by a British rider. This will be Bradley Wiggins' fourth, surpassing Chris Boardman and David Imlach. Of course, if he's going to win the tour, he'll need to wear it for more days than all British riders have worn it in the history of the race put together. So with no disrespect to his predecessors, I don't think this particular landmark will appear too large on his newly calibrated sat-nav. Brad's more interested in these numbers at the moment, the minutes and seconds by which he leads the men who can bring his yellow streak to an end. And they're largely unchanged. A minute 53 to his closest rival, Cadel Evans, 2:23 to Vincenzo Nibali. Nibali attacked as expected yesterday on the fast descent of the day's big climb. Team Sky watched him go, waited, then reeled him in on the next uphill stretch.
Yeah, and at the end, I was waiting for Nibali to start playing his joker card, and he did. But fortunately, he went solo, and we knew that he'd have to have some good legs to stay on the next climb and then down in the valley. So it was a bit slightly desperate, really.
Defending champion Cadel Evans missed the downhill attack and had to be content with a late dig on the uphill run to the line. Again, nothing Wiggins couldn't cover.
You have to make opportunities for yourself, but tomorrow is a bit more. I think the attacking riders are will be more rewarded tomorrow. But we'll also see how the other teams react to the race.
Now here is the tomorrow Cadel Evans was talking about. Stage 11 takes the race out of Albertville and into the Alps for the biggest climbing day of the entire tour. And it starts almost from the off, sending the riders up over 2,000 metres for the first time in the race on the giant Col de la Madeleine. Then, after a long twisting descent and a quite possibly meaningless intermediate sprint, they tackle the incrementally more giant Col de la Croix de Fer. The Col du Mollard interrupts the descent of the Croix de Fer, then comes the final climb up to the ski resort of La Toussuire. This is the second of only 3 summit finishes this year, and the third doesn't come until stage 17. Bradley Wiggins' rivals have to attack him today if they have the legs. Now, the only overnight news was the departure of the one man other than Bradley Wiggins to have worn the yellow jersey in this race. Fabian Cancellara headed home to Switzerland, where his wife was due to give birth. The first attack came pretty much at the drop of the flag, and it was initiated by Robert Geesink, hoping to challenge for a place on the podium when this race started, but now 40 minutes down in 56th. Dan Martin was one of many riders who went with him as the break grew and shrank over the opening kilometres. So was Vincenzo Nibali's teammate Ivan Basso. As soon as the climb of the Col de la Madeleine started to bite, there were riders off the back, and news came through that a pair of Vacances Soleil men had abandoned, team leader Liewe Westra and Gustav Larsen. Now, the Europe car team of Thomas Voeckler had 3 men in the break. He wasn't among them, but last year's best young rider Pierre Rolland was. Approaching the summit of the Madeleine, Peter Velits of Omega Pharma Quickstep and Frederick Kessiakoff from Astana, who was in the polka dot jersey until yesterday, went ahead to fight for the points. Velits took the maximum 25 at the top, but Kessiakoff's 20 for second place was enough to give him the lead in the mountains competition on the road. Behind the break, Sky had everything under control.
There is Bradley Wiggins sitting in his yellow jersey. He's just had a little chat on his radio back to the team car. This has been a perfect day's opening climb for the leader of the Tour de France. He's heading up to the summit now, and he's not yet concerned by any one of those 23 riders who are out in front. They're going to top out with about 3 minutes deficit on that leading group. They won't worry about that. So over the top, it is a gap of 2 minutes and 57 seconds. Now for the next mountain.
Well, on the next mountain, the breakaway regained some of the riders who'd fallen away from it on the Madeleine, Dan Martin among them. But the best placed man in there was Pierre Rolland, 9:28 down in 20th. We rejoin commentary with Sky still on the front of the field on the Col de la Croix de Fer.
TJ Van Garderen now has decided he's going to make a move. He's got the white jersey. Now, this really is a little bit of a surprise at this point on the climb. He's obviously thinking about Cadel Evans.
Well, this might be a deliberate ploy by Team BMC, Paul, to send TJ Van Garderen on the attack. They won't let him go too far before they must react. He could be the postman here, being sent out front and just get a nice lead. By the time we get to the next small climb, then Cadell could make a move and maybe reach him, and then he would have an ally and a great pacemaker in Van Garderen. They've got to find a way to break up this Sky team on the front.
It's a hard day for anybody to come over these big mountain climbs. The two outside categorized climbs. We're still looking at a good 10 kilometers before we get to the summit of the Col de la Croix de Fer.
Hey, look at this. TJ Van Garderen is picking these guys off one by one. That looks very much like Levi Leipheimer he's coming up on now. I wonder if they'll speak.
No chance for a chat, so he has a quick look there. He knows that this is the changing of the guard, and now there's Cadell.
That's the attack. That was the plan, because he's put TJ up the road, and now Cadell Evans has launched an attack. This is the move. Now, how are Sky going to react now?
Well, they're just organising themselves. They're going to have to chase this man down. Cadell Evans pre-thought this out, you know. He made sure that TJ Van Garderen went off the front, and he's trying to ride across. He doesn't have any time to even look at Michele Scarponi, but this is the move. If Cadell Evans wants to win the Tour de France, it's moves like this that will win it.
This is a brilliant move, and it had to come today in this hard day in the Alps. Cadell Evans must close his time deficit of 1:53 on Bradley Wiggins before we go down south, and he sent his emissary up north, and now he's going to join him.
Michael Rogers has been asked by Bradley Wiggins to lift up the pacemaking a little bit now.
TJ now sees his key team leader link up. Can't quite find him where he is, but he's now in the shadow of TJ. TJ's job now is to race as hard as he can for as long as he can, and then hope that Cadell Evans can continue on side.
Well, the 23-year-old Phil on the front, the white jersey there, he's now starting to serve his apprenticeship with Cadell Evans. It was a pre-planned attack there by TJ Van Garderen. You jump up the road as a leapfrog, and I will come across to you, and then I will pace you, or you will pace me, to try and break the stranglehold of Team Sky.
Well, Evans has always said that TJ Van Garderen, the youngster by his side, he is so impressed with the way he's riding. That's why he chose him to make the attack. But he's got to be careful here, because TJ may be going just a bit too quick.
Well, TJ Van Garderen, young and enthusiastic at 23 years of age. And look at the damage here. Huterovic getting eliminated. 141 is Sandy Cassar. He's also going backwards now. All of a sudden, Phil, the race is on.
The breakaway is still being put under pressure by Christophe Kern. Pierre Roland has now moved up into second place. I think very soon you might see him try a move.
Well, you know what? This is a big planned move by all of these teams, where there is another teammate where you might have just caught a glimpse there, Phil. I just noticed Armel Moinard. So now all of a sudden we've got two teammates of BMC with Cadell Evans.
Well, this is the team attack then now, and this is what they were planning, and they thought it through, and they had to try it. This is now a one-on-one Tour de France. Cadell Evans, the defending champion, versus the new leader of the Tour, Bradley Wiggins. Sad sight this, because a little bit of a problem there for Thomas Vauclair, who won yesterday. Well, it is now Cadell Evans here. Yes, Armel Moyard has done it all he could do. He was coming back from that lead group. He has cracked almost to a standstill there. It's back to TJ Van Garderen to hang on. Nicolas Roche is in this picture as well, still having a great Tour de France.
Well, that's what it looks like, Phil. When you've sacrificed yourself for a teammate, there's nothing left in the engine room at all, and all you've got to try and do is recover for a kilometre or so, and then drag your body over the climb and know that you've got to come out and do it again tomorrow.
TJ Van Garderen, the boy from Colorado, has said, I'm here to help Cadell Evans win the Tour. Well, that's never been a truer word than right now, as he tries to drag him clear of the Sky train.
That's Alexander Vinokourov in the turquoise jersey of Team Astana. He was in the breakaway very early on. He's being dispatched. Number 11 is Frank Schleck. He is also coming off the back end of this group.
Frank Schleck hasn't enjoyed this year's Tour de France, as he loses ground now as the real pace comes on, as it's all about time once again. He's completely exploded. Look down below us now. That was a huge peloton less than a mile ago. Michael Rogers on the front, Richie Porte, Bradley Wiggins, Chris Froome. Behind them is Vincenzo Nibali, and the last man.
Evans is having a hard time staying with his own teammate.
Well, this is what I saw earlier. I saw this earlier. I said he's going too fast. He hasn't recovered yet from the chase.
No, he's got across, and his teammate TJ Van Garderen doesn't know what's going on here, and he's going to have to sit up and wait.
He's easing back as he looks over to Cadell. Because of the huge effort to get clear of the Wiggins group, you need a couple of minutes to settle back into the climb. And he may have lifted the pace too much there, TJ. Don't let's forget the leaders on the road today. And Christoph Kern is really doing a terrific race. Chris Horner peeping into the right of our picture. Pierre Roland bobbing around, because sooner or later Pierre Roland is going to try and go from this group. Chris Horner is still here, and so too is the Irishman, Dan Martin, on the Garmin Sharp squad. TJ Van Garderen has got to look over his shoulder and decide whether to wait for his team captain, because Cadell is really struggling just at the moment.
Well, Evans, he's tried this move, this tactic here this afternoon, and again, TJ Van Garderen sits up and waits for his team leader. He will try and pace him. Basso will be happy just to have the ride here this afternoon, but Evans has not got it in the gas tank for the moment. He's going to have to think his strategy and come out and fight another day. 5 kilometres, 3 miles, still to ride to the top. Dan Martin's gone. Yeah, well, he's cracked the pressure. This is a big mountain stage this afternoon. 2 outside categorized climbs, and the race is on. The race is on to try and dethrone the yellow jersey of Bradley Wiggins. A great tactical move here by BMC. TJ Van Garderen, who lives nowadays in Boulder, Colorado, is doing the best that he can to pace his teammate to the top of this climb, but they have not opened up the gap they need to, and they're not going to go over the top of this climb with a 20 or 30 second advantage to start the descent.
I think they might go over the top of the climb as a group here, because TJ's looked over. He will have seen the chase coming up. Decision time, I think, to maybe save something to try again. Cadell Evans takes a drink. I noticed he was speaking with his team director a moment ago as well. Basso's hanging in, Failu's hanging in, and they're actually dead on the bike.
Phil, just remember there's 5 kilometres to go to the top of this climb. After that, we've got another 5-kilometre climb, the Col de Moillard, and then all of a sudden you've got the 18-kilometre ascent to the summit of the ski resort here in La Toussuire.
Well, that was a brave move, though, by TJ, and a well-thought-out plan, but I think we're going to wait now and see what happens. Now, will Vincenzo Nibali, he's just peeping into our picture on the right, make a move here? That was a brave move. It was controlled, but now there's only 3 Sky Riders left with Bradley Wiggins at this point.
Now, the next moves, could it be coming from Vincenzo Nibali or Jürgen Vandenbroek, who are both in that group now with the yellow jersey?
The British flags fly on the right, and they won't know it, but there's just been a dramatic battle up the slopes here. But for the moment, they're all together, the race favourites.
Back, Cadell Evans' attack has been reeled in by Team Sky on stage 11, while out front, Pierre Roland and Frédéric Kessiakoff have gone ahead from the breakaway group to contest the points at the top of the Col de la Croix de Fer, 2,067 metres above sea level. It's a phenomenal sprint considering the climbing they've already done, and there's even a bit of elbows out as they cross the line. Kessiakoff just takes it in the end, along with the maximum 25 points and the €5,000 that come with the Henri de Grange prize for being the first man over the Croix de Fer. No argy-bargy on the next summit of the second category Col du Mollard. Only 5 points for the first man over here, 3 for the second. Roland went ahead and Kessiakoff seemed happy to let him. So Kessiakoff now leading the competition overall on 66 points, and with only 20 available on the final climb, he is the new king of the mountains today. Now on the descent of the Col de Mollard, Pierre Roland took a terrible line into a corner and went down. He was quickly back up, but so fast was the breakaway going that he had to work hard to get back. Once the lead group hit the final climb though, it was Roland and Robert Kieselowski who attacked and went away together. As we rejoin commentary, the remains of the day's various escape groups are littered between them and the yellow jersey group.
As we start the climb now, this is the yellow jersey group of Bradley Wiggins. They start the climb 3 minutes 29 behind the 2 leaders, but I believe they've slowed down here to their own advantage. It's up to the rest of the riders to attack Team Sky, and today this is their last chance to attack Wiggins.
Well, there's a big gap of 3.5 minutes to the 2 leaders, Pierre Roland and Kieselowski, but there's a lot of riders, Phil, scattered in the middle between them.
And can you believe this, Paul? But I think Kirienka and Sorensen are coming back.
Well, they couldn't respond to the first violent acceleration by Kieselowski, the man in the front in the turquoise jersey, and that's why all of a sudden they've found their rhythm and they're riding themselves back up to the 2 leaders.
Well, Wiggins still has his faithful troops on the front here. Vincenzo Nibali is riding about 5th place. And now we've lost one. We've now lost Michael Rogers. He's done all he can do. So he's now switching over to his next workhorse, Richie Porte. Back to the leaders. 4 riders now looking at each other. They're still climbing with 3.5 minutes advantage. Time is running out for the chase group to win the day. Kirienka steps on the gas. Kizilowski is all there to match him. They've caught Pierre Roland lacking just a bit, but I think he'll get back this time.
Well, he's a slightly bigger gear than the other guys, Phil, which is why it's taken him a bit longer to respond. But again, every time they put in this violent acceleration, Chris Anker Sorensen just yo-yos off the back.
Yeah, but the Danish cyclist has got a tremendous heart, and he'll wait till the pace drops and he'll pedal his way back on again.
Now it's up to Richie Porte, best young rider in the Giro d'Italia, finishing the top 10 overall. 2nd position is Chris Froome, just sitting in 3rd position there. Bradley Wiggins, he hasn't had really very much of a threat yet this afternoon.
His job is to lead the team to Paris. It's their job to see he gets there to Paris in that yellow jersey. So far, so good for Bradley Wiggins, but surely Nibali, Vincenzo Nibali, must attack on this climb soon. The 4 leaders continue, and Chris Anker Sorensen, I don't know where he's finding that determination from now. He hangs at the back of these 3 other riders. We're looking at number 1, Cadel Evans, who's made 1 play today. He made a play yesterday, and he's come out of it with no result just at the moment, as Team Sky continues to set the trend here. Still Richie Porte of Tasmania and Chris Froome as he rides here in front of his team captain, Bradley Wiggins.
12 kilometres to go. That's 7.5 miles, and normally on a flat stage I'd say that's going to take these guys about 15 minutes, but it's going to take them today around about half an hour. Froome is the next man who will take up the pacemaking. There's the move. That was Yanni Brakovic.
Yes, and a good test by Yannis Brakovic. He's a rider that went out in the same crash as Bradley Wiggins last year, and also with a broken collarbone, but he's back and fighting, and there's no reaction to that acceleration. No need to react to that acceleration just now. He's 6 minutes and 29 seconds behind the race leader. But there's been no reaction from the field, so the field is starting to go under pressure now.
This is Thibaut Pinot.
TJ Van Garderen.
No, but behind him, that's Jürgen van den Broek.
That's a good win, and that's why there's a reaction from the field. I think TJ Van Garderen has chased after Jürgen van den Broek.
That's Thibaut Pinot in 1st position, Jürgen van den Broek in 2nd position, Phil. But, you know, there's no reaction yet coming from Team Sky. They are still setting the same tempo that they have done.
So we've got a counter move here now. Now the tempo stayed the same, but I think very shortly there will be a reaction. Jürgen van den Broek is only 4:48 off the yellow jersey. He could get back a couple of minutes if Team Sky can't lift the pace.
Well, what happens here is it makes it a bit more complicated too, because Cadel Evans could see his 2nd place in the overall standings.
Attack at the front, Pierre Roland.
Yeah, Pierre Roland. He's found that there's not enough impetus in this leading group of 4 riders. He knows that the main field now are starting to respond. They're starting to react, so he decided he's going to try and go for the lone win. That was a violent acceleration.
Well, Pierre Roland taking advantage here, probably sensing the field. We're now livening it up behind. It is still Robert Kieselowski who's crawled his way back up. Goodness knows what's happened to poor Chris Anker Sorensen with that acceleration. Well, we've got 2 riders clear again at the front. Well, that's a good move, and he promised he would attack in the mountains. He's lived up to that promise. He did try yesterday. It didn't work, but now he knows the finishing line is little more than 10 kilometres away. And I think there is a little bit of stress in the group now. They've been hit very, very hard today, and they haven't reacted. Surely Nibali will now try to do something.
Well, he keeps looking over his shoulder. He was very nervous there. Now these 3 riders are joining forces. The 22-year-old, number 146, Thibaut Pinot, he came across the gap. He's the one that instigated the move after Yanni Brakovic, number 181.
Thibaut Pinot, who celebrated his 22nd birthday only about 6 weeks ago. He's the youngest rider in the race, and he's showing us he has great ability in the mountains, as his friends have already told us. These 2 are shadow boxing again now, Pierre Roland and Kieselowski. There he is, there he goes, there's Nibali. He had to try it and he's gone. And look at the acceleration, Paul.
Well, this is the move that we've been waiting for, Phil, patiently for the whole of the day. There is still no reaction from Team Sky. They don't get rattled by these accelerations. They try and keep themselves organised, but now it's up to Chris Froome.
Yes.
3rd overall in the overall standings. He must bring it back, because all of a sudden 107 there. Richie Port has disappeared from the group.
He looked tired. He'd done all he could do. Team Radio Shack with the yellow numbers are going to go even further ahead in the team race tonight. But now we expected the attack of Nibali. That's got to cause a reaction. Nibali is racing now for the third place overall of Chris Froome, and he doesn't need much distance to do it.
Yeah, but look at all of a sudden the acceleration of Chris Froome. He is a very magnificent climber. Impressed with Radio Shack, 4 riders in that group, but all of these guys now are prepared to do the attack. Vincenzo Nibali, just watch the violence of this attack as he comes out of the group.
He's been very outspoken in this year's Tour de France. He thought that yesterday the yellow jersey Bradley Wiggins showed disrespect of his attackers because he stared him straight in the eye after they crossed the finishing line. He didn't like that, and he's now on the attack. Pierre Rolland gritting his teeth here. The big move is on the cards, but those 4 front runners, I'm not sure they'll give way. But this is another display, Paul, by a Frenchman and by Team Europe car.
Well, they're reducing the numbers. Chris Froome is slowly screwing up the screw there as Nicholas Roach is the next victim of the acceleration of Froome. He will have to try and limit his losses on these climbs because Nicholas Roach started the day in 9th place in the overall standings, but Vincenzo Nibali really came out of that gap. But you know what? Slowly but surely, Phil, they are pegging him back.
Well, it's Chris Froome who's pegging him back. This amazing rider has lifted the tempo, and he's slowly hauling Nibali back. This is the leader, and this is the moment. This is when he pays back the hard work of Christophe Cairn on the Col de la Croix de Fer. He's put himself in the position to win at the top of this climb and likely pull on the leader's jersey in the King of the Mountains as well. The chase back by Chris Froome has nailed back Vincenzo Nibali.
Locked onto the wheel of the yellow jersey there, though, is Cadel Evans. This is the damage that's been done by that acceleration. Jérôme Coppel, one of the revelations from last year. Nibali is back in the contact of the yellow jersey. Looks across at Bradley Wiggins. Wiggins didn't even look at him this time. Cadel Evans is there, so too is Frank Schleck.
We have here the 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th place riders in the Tour de France, and the intruder is a return to form of Frank Schleck at the back there in the black. Frank was 3rd last year in the Tour de France. 4 class men here now hitting each other out. This is why Wiggins has thanked his team, because without them today he wouldn't have been able to control this race.
Well, you look at the long, lanky figure there of Chris Froome when he gets out of the saddle. He looks like a spider, but behind him, sitting locked in his wheel, was Bradley Wiggins.
2:12 the gap. Can he be finished off with the top rider in the Tour de France winning the day? They've still got 9 kilometres to get up to Pierre Rolland. There he goes again, and I'm not sure Wiggins was ready for that. He was looking the other way.
Well, he will not lay down his arms. He's a great climber. Wiggins has not got this change of acceleration. The way Wiggins climbs, he rides at a long tempo as if he's riding an individual time trial, and he will allow Nibali to give a little bit more extra time and hope that he can claw him back with an acceleration, a slow acceleration by Chris Froome.
How long is it since we've seen a Tour de France like this where so many different riders really believe they can win it? Bradley Wiggins has looked so strong, but he's just done. TJ Van Garderen, the teammate of Cadel Evans, has clawed his way back up to be alongside the Australian. Now, this is the 2nd tack by Vincenzo Nibali. He's got the gap, and he's looking as though he's very good.
Yeah, he's 4th at the start of the day, 2:23 behind Bradley Wiggins, but not very much time behind Chris Froome or even behind Cadel Evans. He's only 30 seconds behind Cadel Evans. He's eyeing a 2nd place overall at the end of today if they don't pull him back.
Well, just up the road, don't forget, we've still got Jürgen van den Broek. He's only 10 seconds in front of Nibali. If Nibali can get to Van den Broek, they could work together.
We could have a very exciting run into the finish, and let's not forget one man is trying to win himself the stage, because of course this man Pierre Rolland is trying to add La Toussuire to the stage of Alpe d'Huez, which he won last year in the Tour.
There would be 2 of the most merited finishing towns in the Tour de France, and that would be great on the Frenchman's honour list, that's for sure. It's not over yet, though, even though he's looking pretty good. 2:19 the spread between this man and the yellow jersey, and this is the most serious attack so far. Nibali is settling down here. He needs just a few seconds to move up 1 place in the overall.
there is the group of Bradley Wiggins, Cadel Evans and TJ Van Garderen, who's riding a phenomenal race here this afternoon. And Frank Schleck really seems to have all of a sudden returned to the form that took him to third place overall last year.
And look at this. This is Vincenzo Nibali. Look at the crowd trying to scream him up the mountain.
Well, I tell you what, the gap, Phil, is not huge. It's only about a 15-second advantage. Now, all of a
look
sudden,
at this. It's man against man now.
When you're the boss, there comes a point in a race where you have to take control, and that is it right now for Bradley Wiggins.
Well, I take my hat off to the riders in the Tour. They felt very, very depressed by the Sky team. They've attacked them today. The Sky team's done everything right, but at the end of the day, the man who can win the Tour de France has to finish it off. And Bradley Wiggins now is down to try and bring back a Vincenzo Nibali. And Cadel Evans is sitting in the slipstream of Bradley Wiggins.
Chris Froome struggling to stay in contact here. He's in danger of losing his third place in the overall standings, but he's not here for that. He's here for Bradley Wiggins. Wiggins wants to win this bike race overall. They've already said, Team Sky, we're not concerned about first and third place. We want to win the bike race. And if they have to sacrifice Chris Froome, they will. But Froome has found something very special, Phil, just to stay in contact with this group.
Well, this is a very select group now because Nibali has got up on the back wheel of Jurgen van der Broek. This is going to be now a high-pressure pursuit to the finish, and whether it can be brought back to Bradley Wiggins, only time will tell. We've still got 7+ kilometres to the top. The gap is at 2:22. We've got the one leader up front, Paul. We've got the rest of the breakaway, and then we've got Van den Broek, Nibali, Wiggins are all on the attack now.
Well, there is, all of a sudden, Chris Froome has recovered from that acceleration and he's pulled himself back up to start pacing his leader once again. There are 20 seconds, the difference between Vincenzo Nibali's group with Jurgen van den Broek and the yellow jersey group of Evans and Schleck.
Well, a superb day of attacking riding in the Tour de France, and we go up to the leader here, which is Pierre Rolland. You may be able to see his left elbow there. It is now oozing blood from the fall down on the descent of the Col de Mollard, but he's now in a winning position on today's stage of the Tour. He's 6.5 kilometres from the finish. He's still got 2:19 over the main chase.
And that's 4 miles, but 4 excruciating miles of uphill till we get to the finishing line in La Toussuire. This is the second group on the road.
This is Jurgen van den Broek, his chance too to put time into Bradley Wiggins. We are looking at the yellow jersey at the moment, but take a look over his shoulder. Cadel Evans is looking to be in trouble here, as we've only got 5.4 kilometres to go. Evans is beginning to struggle on the back wheel of Bradley Wiggins.
Well, TJ Van Garderen, his teammate Phil, has stopped by the road there to be with Cadel Evans and try and pace him over these next few kilometres. He's looking back for his leader. He's come here as an apprentice. He could ride away and stay in contact with that, but that's not what he's at the Tour de France for this year. He's here to nurse Cadel Evans through the bad days and help him on the good ones.
And the bad news is the climb does not relent until the actual finishing line, so that's going to be tough now for Cadel Evans. If he loses more times to Wiggins today, he's not going to win the Tour de France. Brad Wiggins has seen Chris Froome come back up to help him. The gap is opening at the moment between Nibali and Jurgen van den Broek, but the day is being saved, I feel, by Sky, but they've really been put under pressure. Pierre Rolland has been out front for much of the day. His teammate sacrificed himself to keep him in a winning position. He's crashed, his arm is bleeding, and he's still in the lead.
Well, this man is in second position on the road, Vasily Kirienka, but he's 40 seconds behind Pierre Rolland. But look at the gap, Phil. We're only looking 8 or 9 seconds between Van den Broek and Nibali and the yellow jersey of Bradley Wiggins.
And what a ride by Chris Froome here, because he's giving his all here. He started the day third overall, but that doesn't matter. They'll sacrifice that just to keep Bradley Wiggins in yellow. Sad sight that, to see the defending champion now struggling.
Well, I tell you what, Phil, we could be seeing at the end of today Bradley Wiggins and Chris Froome in first and second place in the overall standings if they catch back to Nibali and to Van den Broek. Well, Wiggins is slowly but surely coming across, and what in a sterling job of work being done by Chris Froome as he just sits at the front there.
Schleck is gone. Hit the wall as he comes into the last 4.5 kilometres of the day. This is the group here, and Chris Froome is dragging Bradley Wiggins back into it.
He's going to drag him back into the race this afternoon and drag himself into second place in the overall standings if Cadel Evans cannot recover in the final few kilometres of this climb.
But look at this now. They've just towed Bradley Wiggins. Chris Froome has on his own put him back up alongside the danger. Now Chris Froome himself only needs 14 seconds lead over Evans to go into second place. That will put Sky first and second overall.
Well, he's got that pretty much lined up now, Phil, because I've got it more than 30 seconds, the difference between this group. And look at Froome now, who's really hammering it.
He's attacking him. He's attacking him, and he's going to break him up. But look at this. Thibaut Pinot is straight on his wheel.
Well, I even think he may well have been given the nod there by Bradley, but Bradley Wiggins has been left behind by Nibali.
Well, this is now, does Froome know what he's doing with that acceleration? Because he's got Bradley Wiggins on the defensive now, and Nibali has kicked again. This Tour de France just has no leader right now.
Froome has got an incredible acceleration on these mountains, but so too does the young Thibaut Pinot, because he went straight across that gap and he said, right, well, I've got legs here this afternoon, I'm going for it.
They've got the right sign. Allez, Pierre Roland. He's about to, I will not say it, but he's looking like he could win the stage today as he comes up the mountain. Just on 3 kilometres. He's looking for the banner right now. We're climbing up towards the town of La Toussuire. And this man, you know, the speedy he's riding, can he cross the gap in just 3 kilometres? Chris Froome, it seemed as though he cracked. He's come back. He's now was attacking there. It looked good. He was told to go back and locate Bradley Wiggins. He has done. And now he's again pacing Bradley Wiggins. Cadel Evans being led by his teammate. The favourites are using their teammates, who frankly are looking better than the leaders right now.
Froome is proving to be an incredible lieutenant. In fact, by the end of the day, Phil, I think I'll promote him to colonel.
There is Pierre Roland ploughing a lonely trail up to La Toussuire. He's still got the advantage just. He's about a minute over Kirienka, who I don't think can raise his game anymore.
There is over a minute between the yellow jersey group of Wiggins and the group of Cadel Evans. Cadel Evans is going to plummet down in the overall standings tonight. He will even get overtaken by Vincenzo Nibali. Well, Chris Froome inside of the 3 kilometre banner, talking to the team manager behind. That will be Sean Yates in the team car. They're just about to catch Pinot. He's been dislodged. There's still around about a minute gap back to the second place rider on the road, Sorensen and Pierre Roland, but it's hurting like mad now.
It is so hard for Pierre Roland now. There's not much left in the tank, and Chris Froome is lifting the pace again, followed by Wiggins, then by Nibali, then by Jurgen van den Broek, and now Thibaut Pinot is on the back. 5 going clear. Kirienka couldn't control them. They've gone.
They have gone. Kirienka has been caught and dropped by those guys now. Roland knows he's got to push his body. He's got to keep that pain there. He's got to keep forcing those legs over. It's a slightly easier gradient now. He looks back to check. He wouldn't want any surprise return by the group from behind. He will be looking very shortly, Phil, to see the banner over the road, which indicates 1 kilometre left to go to the finish. And how much time is Cadel Evans going to lose tonight?
I would think about a minute and a half, but we don't wish that on him. 1,100 metres, and now it is 1,000 metres to go for Pierre Roland. He's almost home. There'll be no respite. He climbs till he crosses the line, and then somebody better catch him.
Well, he will been on the attack since the very early part of the day. If he gets the victory around this corner, Phil, he'll owe a very big thanks to his teammate Christopher Kern, the former champion of France in the individual time trial. And if this man, Bradley Wiggins, has the yellow jersey at the end of the day, he owes a very big thanks to Chris Froome.
He's coming up towards the finish, and he's still got about 200 metres to go. So let the French public bring him home now, because he has made it. He's led the mountains all day today. His teammate Christophe Kern set it up for him, and he did it. Now we go. Zip up the jersey. Show us the sponsor. 2 days in a row for Europe Car. Yesterday, Tommy Vauclair. Now it is Pierre Roland gets the victory for France. That's 3 stage wins for them. No yellow jersey awaits, but certainly a stage win at La Toussuire. Here comes the race now, and I think we'll see the strength of Chris Froome as he sprints for second place. But he better watch out for Thibaut Pinot, who could be making this a French 1-2. He's going to have a go. But, you know, Chris Froome never knows when to say no. As Thibaut Pinot makes it a French 1-2, Froome gets third, Jurgen van den Broek gets fourth, fifth is Nibali, and a little bit of a pat on the back too from Bradley Wiggins for Nibali. So I guess that was the moment they just made friends again. And I'm afraid to say it, but today Cadel Evans has lost the Tour de France today.
Well,
But he still has high places and a likely stage win to look forward to. TJ Van Garderen now begins the sprint. Frank Schleck is with them here, but the gap is big when you're trying to win the Tour de France. He crosses the line about 2:23 down. A real tough day.
Not from the French perspective, though. A brilliant solo stage win for Pierre Rolland with his countryman Thibaut Pinot, who rode with the big guns all day, winning the sprint behind him for second. Chris Froome, who had to slow down on the final climb after he dropped his team leader momentarily, was third. Jurgen van den Broek, Vincenzo Nibali and Brad Wiggins all finished together a couple of seconds behind Froome and Pinot. Cadel Evans came in alongside TJ Van Garderen, 2 minutes 23 down, 1:26 behind the Wiggins group. Aymar Zubeldia, 6th this morning, lost nearly 4 minutes. Nicholas Roach was 19th at 6:17. Dan Martin faded after his early efforts, and Denis Menchov, 5th this morning, dropped off the radar completely, losing 14 minutes. He is, though, onto the third step of the podium as things stand, and Chris Froome is up onto the second step. 2 British teammates, first and second now in the Tour de France. Cadel Evans is down to 4th, and the defending champion might find that position under threat from Jurgen van den Broek.